Well, hi there, everybody. This is Thomas Freeman, and I'm recording a short video on my chat application for the tech screening for the senior software position at Guild Education. So currently, I do not have the project installed on my machine whatsoever. I probably have some of the NPM packages, but besides that, this is effectively a clean machine. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to download application. I'm going to run the automated tests of the application, and then I'm going to demonstrate some of the features of the application, live. So let's do this. So first thing is I'm going to navigate to the repo where it lives. So as we see here, I did include a README which has a description about the project itself, how to install it, some notes during the development of the project itself, as well as some things I learned along the way and some of the known bugs of the project as it exists currently. So let's go ahead and download this. So 4.3 megs compressed, a little more than I would like, but NPM packages are not always the smallest in the world. So let's go ahead and I'm going to extract this over to the desktop. This is happening off screen, so that's probably why you can't see it. Alright, so that should be done. So if I go back to my desktop here, I should see that I now have my Guild chat app folder there. Cool. So it's opened command here, and I'm going to 100% be following along just the documentation here. Nothing fancy, nothing that I would know and that you wouldn't for whatever reason. So first thing, let's go to the desktop, then let's go to that actual folder there. So I clone the repo, I navigate to that folder, so now let's do an npm install to make sure I have all the required packages. Cool, they're all there, good to know. Now let's go ahead and start the service. So I used NoDaemon, which was a kind of an automatic server restarting package, and that just allowed development to go a lot quicker, so I didn't have to uninstall or restart the server every time. Actually, let's go ahead and run some of the back-end tests here first. So I'm going to terminate the server, so now it's no longer listening, and I'm going to run some of the back-end tests here. So this tests mostly the Node.js server, socket.io, and how it communicates to each other. And these are not front-end tests. This is not looking at the DOM tree or anything. This is purely just the logical functionality. So I have 5 tests here. Everything seems to be working just fine. Cool. So now the backend tests are run. Let's go ahead and actually look at it in person. So we have it starting there. So we can just go ahead and navigate to localhost. So I'm going to open up a few different windows here. And the reason I want to do this is because I want to talk to multiple people. Really no use in having a chat app if you can only talk to yourself, right? That'd be more of like a notes application or something along those lines. So let's go ahead and open 3 tabs. That seems reasonable. I do have tests. I believe I test 5 concurrent connections, but from my understanding, Socket.io can easily handle up to about 1,600 without running into too many issues, and I'm sure you could extend that much higher if you had multiple servers, multiple instances running. Cool. So a few things to point out right here. So our very first window here, our very first connection, showed that, hey, I connected and I am the only person in the room. And as we had more people connect, we get a little notification about that. It shows, hey, new people are now involved, and there's, 1, 2, 3, X amount of people in the room. So pretty simple, pretty standard. You have your input bar down here at the bottom. You have a little send button, but you can also just use enter. It's a little bug of mine when you can't just click enters on forms, so I made sure that was happening. So let's go ahead and say, hi there. This is a test of the Guild Education chat application. Notice that as I was typing, there are some little someone is typing notifications down here. It does not pop up on the user that is typing, but if I keep typing here, you'll see that it is on other people's screens as I type. So let's go ahead and send that out. So first thing to notice is that how it renders on my local screen, that is the user that did the typing, it shows locally. It shows, on kind of the right-hand side as most messenger apps does, but on the other ones, the ones that just received the message, it looks a little different. Just makes it a little easier to differentiate who's typing. So I can say, this is more typing, and then it just happens there. And at the same time, I can go over here and say, this is user B. So again, we saw the user is typing notifications on other people's screens. And again, when I go ahead and type that, we will see the local message versus the foreign message and whatnot. But one thing that I made sure that would happen is that it's not just single line messages. You could have, you know, a super long message and then have it, you know, it all just kind of stays nice and neat there. Now, this is a little responsive. No, I'm not going to claim this is going to work on every screen imaginable, but, you know, it does work to a certain extent where you can have, you know, different screen sizes and, you know, even some mobile devices, it seems to work okay. Not exactly ideal, but from my understanding, I wasn't supposed to spend too much time on the styling, so I didn't. Just enough to make it look usable. So that is most of the feature sets. Most everything has a test in it. Let's go ahead and do our front-end test. So if I come to the console here, so this error here is a known bug, if you want to call it. So I use LastPass, which is my password manager. LastPass pretty much has listeners in all input boxes, and whenever I type something there in there and I click enter, that error pops up. It seems completely related to LastPass, doesn't affect my functionality whatsoever. If I had more time to work on this, I would dig in and get rid of that. But for now, it's fine. So let's go ahead and run our test. So to run the test in the front end, we go to the console here, and we just do mocha.run. Aha, so this is another known bug. So this happens not super reliably, where I get this inner text of null bug. I haven't been able to figure out why it happens, but I bet you if I go ahead and reload the page and click run, yeah, they all pass. I don't know exactly what's going on there. I spent a little bit of time on it, but it's not reliable. The tests seem to pass much more frequently than they fail. So not sure what's going on there, but if I had more time, again, that'd be something I would come in and check it out. So these tests, on the other hand, are much more front-end oriented. So these are testing not necessarily the parts of the architecture of the server implementation, but making sure that when, hey, the server or the Socket.io emits this message, that it actually displays on the page, that these DOM nodes are found, the text is appropriate, the CSS classes on there are what they should be, etc., etc. And if we look over on, let's say, this left-hand side here, we got all of our messages that happen from, front-end testing. That's what these testing messages are. They're cleared on the testing page, but not on the other users page. And if we were to go ahead and refresh this page, we would see that more and more users are connected and disconnected as I refresh the page there. Again, not perfectly styled 100%, but I bet if I just go there and give a message, it's going to pop up there again. So yeah, still some work to be done here. If this was going to be an actual internal communication or anything like that, obviously there's a lot of styling that would need to happen. Would want to benchmark some of the performance of it and whatnot. But I'm honestly pretty proud of this, considering I've only worked on it for like a day or two and started from complete scratch. I'd never built a messaging application. I'd never worked with Socket.io or anything like that. But it works. It seems to fulfill the minimum requirements, and you can certainly go and talk to everyone, and that's what matters, right? To be able to say, like, hey, this is a message, and you will see this. And you know what? You sure can. So, again, thank you for the opportunity to work on this. This was really exciting. I really learned a lot. I put some notes in that repo itself about, just things I've learned, why I chose the technologies I did, and just kind of my methodology of how I approached it. So, again, thank you so much, and I appreciate your time.